gone to hell.
Come on then, where are you? Peggy Sue. Come on then.
Go on, gotta go.
Listen to the song, and then you fill in what you can guess, okay? And today's song is by a famous rock band called Nazareth, and it's on this CD. Have you ever heard of Nazareth before?
Yes.
When I went to make my first album and go full-time and leave my job, my friends gave me this suitcase.
There's not a bat in it.
Lovely case.
There's not a bat or a dog or anything.
I don't know, Dan. Like, I don't even know if it opens.
I was going to say,
Like, it's just
you're very confident here.
Oh, you're going to love this. This has got music from... That was on that bit of the case. It was all stuff there. It must have been stuff that we were rehearsing. These things here, I don't know.
One big happy family.
That's when the Princess Anne got married.
There you go.
So she's been divorced twice since then.
Really all that long ago. Gonna dial into the airways. Gotta make the moment last. It wasn't really all that long ago. Tonight, it's just me and my radio.
There you go. This is the British singles, This Flight Tonight.
There you go.
That was us.
Weekend ending Tuesday the 30th, October 1973.
There you go.
Was I alive in 1973?
Gotta make it last.
When I was young, there was only records, there were no CDs. This is just for big fans and collectors.
Very big.
That's a record.
There's a handsome man, eh? The front page of Melody Maker, August 4th, 1973. Dan, with the haircut of the century, I've got to say.
Looking like a girl.
This is Dan McCafferty, he's the singer. He still sings for the band. This is Pete Agnew. He plays the bass. He's the bass player. That's the guitar player, Jamie Murison, and drums, Lee Agnew. And Lee Agnew is Pete's son. Okay.
whole movie diary of Nazareth's 2008 tour of Eastern Europe. We're going to be visiting, as well as Kazakhstan, the Ukraine, Moldova, and of course Russia. So I'll be showing you what happens, basically. The good bits and the bad. This is the surroundings of our house.
Oh, and look, it's me on the front page.
Of sounds.
Of Sounds in 1973. God, was I that thin? This is another great, I love this shot of Dan.
Disc.
That's a crack of that, isn't it?
Man in a pink shirt.
Oh, that's great. This was a scrapbook that my wife started, but gave up on. She got one of these. This is
This is way back. We used to play at Easter time, and the bill was Slade, Nazareth,
Thin Lizzy.
and Thin Lizzy, because none of us had a hit at that point, so we used to just all play together. And when you think back, it was an incredible bill. It was really good, you know.
Oh, there you go. You want to see a bit of sex? There you go. I bet you couldn't do that now, pal.
Oh, God, no.
Right.
Oh, I'd be embarrassed now. There'd be more wrinkles than there is now.
Sex god.
She's got the stabbing now. Sorry, it's getting bad. That whiskey drinking woman is making a poor man of
Oh, bravo.
Bravo, bravo.
See, that was another thing. At that time, paper was important in rock and roll. I mean, no, seriously, it was. I mean, it was pre-websites and pre-all that kind of thing, you know. So magazines were very important. To get in these was a big deal. Even bands that shunned publicity, like Led Zeppelin, who were huge, they went into Bravo, because Bravo was like, no, Bravo was big, you know.
They came over to Scotland
That's right.
to do this story about all the families, you know. There's Dan and Marianne and Derek, because Colin wasn't born at that time.
That's right.
And here, they've got me, my wife, Lee, and Stevie. Lee is now our drummer. This is him sitting on my knee here.
Sonny boy.
When he was 3 years old, I think. When we were 5 years old, the first day that we went to school, well, I sat next to him. I sat here and he sat there, and we were 5 years old. So we've known each other since that first day.
A long time.
And we've been best of friends since then. I was at his 6th birthday party, you know. The school was falling down when I was at it, you know. My dad went to that school, and I'm sure his dad went to that school as well. So it was a very, very old school. Where this bus is going past, this was where the school was. This was where we had the actual the school. And over here are now the police cells. I always thought it was very funny that they built police cells on where the school used to be. We used to think it was a prison at the time. He used to come along when I played in my band because he could get women, you know. And we had the band going. Pete Agnew and his Shadettes at Burnt Island Valley were another guy that used to sing with me in the band. And he left, and we wanted to get another singer, you know. We wanted to get another singer. So one of the guys said, "What about Dan? He can sing, eh? He sings in the van." I thought, "Wow, yeah, he can sing."
And I used to buy the records that they covered, by the way.
He paid for the records.
I used to be the roadie for the guys. I used to be, because I could work a screwdriver. And I used to sing in a van. You would all be, because at that time you practiced songs on the way to the venues, because everybody had a real job during the day and stuff. And a guy called Des left, and I got offered the job. And I remember it was in Kirkcaldy YMCA, and I sung put on your red high-heeled sneakers with the song I sang, an old blues song. And that seems, sometimes it seems like 150 years ago, but sometimes it feels like it was only yesterday, you know, so.
He was great, you know, it was great. So this was back in 63.
It was 63,
63,
64.
Something like that. We travel around and play different places. Up until about 1966, we got tired of travelling around in vans, you know, and this terrible weather and, you know. and as I say, we all had jobs. And we took a residency in Dunfermline. We did the Belleville, where we got our name, Nazareth, eventually. We did the ballroom, the Kinema Ballroom. At the back of me here is what used to be the Belleville Hotel. And there used to be a club at the back that we ran. It was our own club. It was called the Flamingo. And at the time, the band was called the Chadettes. And we needed to get a name change because it was kind of old name, that. So when we eventually agreed on the name Nazareth, it was sitting in the foyer of this hotel here, just at the fireplace. So that's the first place we actually played as Nazareth.
Nazareth, the group from Dunfermline that's made the national charts.
To play in the Belleville, when we got fed up playing in there and we went to play in the ballroom as the resident band, we just pushed our equipment across the road and in through those doors. And then the same, when we got fed up playing in there, and we went back to the Belleville, we just pushed it across the road. We didn't have a van for about 3 years. We just moved back and forward between these two places. And then we eventually went back to going on the road again, about 67, 68. And then that's when it got real crazy.
I'll make the stars fall out of the sky. Make the seas and the rivers run dry. There is nothing I can do. Gotta put my spell on you. There's a mountains down to the ground. Make the clouds and the rain fall around. There is nothing.
Because we all had jobs and we were getting further and further and further away from Dunfermline. So when we go on the weekends, we would go up and we would play on a Friday, for instance. We would go to our boss, you know.
Can I get away early?
I've got to get away, you know. I've got to go because I've got to play in Aberdeen, you know. You'd stay there that night. We'd go up to Aviemore, play there that night. And then the next night you go up and you play in Fraserburgh. And then when you finished in Fraserburgh, you had to go home because we were working in the morning.
In the morning.
So it'd take 4 or 5 hours to get home. And you get home and think, can I lie down maybe in it? Nope. No. Have a cup of coffee, a shower, go to your work. You know, I used to arrive at my job. We would arrive at the job. We were there early. They went, oh, you're here early. Well, I just finished my gig. But we did that for years. Did that for years and years and years.
We're on the way to the gig now. Just the chaps. The road was too unsteady for me to film. It was like the surface of the moon. This is where it'll all take place later on. Hello again. After the gig, you can go to bed for a few hours, or you can have something delicious to eat. I think I'll just be going to bed.
When I left the school, I started working in an architect's office as an architectural assistant, or an apprentice at the time. And that was up here, on the first floor of this building here. It was a great office to work in. I loved it because next door we had the Abbott House, which is the oldest building in Dunfermline, and at the back of the office is the Dunfermline Abbey, the very famous abbey where Robert the Bruce is buried. And Dan, he was a mechanical engineer. He used to work on, you know, big lathes and things like that, you know. When we decided to become a full-time band, life was a lot easier than when it was when we were actually working
right.
2 jobs, you know. But the only
Because
thing
2 jobs was tough.
Aye.
But I mean, once we went down to London, it was like, well, we expect you to play every night. Yep, we can do that. That's no problem, you know. Life became much easier because you had a plan then. It was like, you know, go in, make a record, and then just play every place with electricity. But I think it's when you start writing your own material, that's the test. You know, you can either get plenty of work or none at all, depending on how people like it.
You never even knocked on my door. Don't try to say that you don't love me no more. I want you by my side, Lord. I wanna be your man. And I'm burning up inside, Lord. I wanna be your man.
This was the very first tour. The very first tour we did when we were full-time.
Well, the very first sort of organised
you know,
tour,
when
apart
we were a
from clubs
full-time
and
band
stuff,
with a new album. And well, that was it. And that must have been 71 or something like that. We got this big Merc, you know, the big Merc van, you know, and we had that van for 10 months. That's all we had it for 10. We did
Killed it dead.
90,000 miles
We killed it
in
dead.
10 months. And it was weird because we could never get home, you know, in the early days. And we were all not that long married. Well, we were married for a wee while, but people were starting to have kids. You know, we were getting youngsters coming along. And, you know, we'd like to come up to see them. But
Is this my baby?
Yeah.
You'd like to see that.
And we'd be in London, you know, and living in this horrible flat, you know, like.
It wasn't that bad. It was worse than that, actually.
I'm going to see that,
It was.
right?
It was odd. Actually, it was a toilet without a toilet. You had to go a floor down to go to the toilet.
But,
I kid you not.
Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go, right. This is,
If you've got smelly vision,
oh, for fuck's sake, man! Oh, you fucker! Pardon my language, but that is absolutely stinking. There's no seat. I'll have to evacuate. Oh, God. Absolutely the worst thing about that is that unfortunately at some...
sweet smell of success.
Unfortunately, at some point, I'm going to have to use it as well.
It was crazy. We would come back, you know, maybe on a Wednesday or something. We'd play in Leicester, you know, 90 miles out of London, and we'd go, okay, we've got Thursday off. You know,
Thursday
we're
and
not playing
Friday
Thursday,
off.
but Friday we're playing back in London,
Newcastle
you know,
or something.
or
Always
something.
is a
So
bad-
we'd go, right, we're going to go home. So we'd get in the van and we'd drive up and we'd get home at, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on the Thursday, get in and go, hello, babe, everything's great, right? Stay there that night, then the next morning, back to London again, you know, in the van.
You said that,